Hello everyone, our topic is about COVID-19. Let's start. We will mainly analyze through four aspects. In the first half, we will use game theory to explain why people are unwilling to cooperate with isolation. In the second half, we will analyze some phenomena under the epidemic from the perspective of behavioral economics. Let's first look at the current situation of COVID-19. At the end of March, nearly 1 million people had been infected globally, and the cumulative death toll was close to 50,000. The new coronavirus has caused a huge threat to human health and economy on a global scale. However, due to lack of vaccines and mature treatments against the virus, the epidemic is still worsening. Next, we will mainly explain why people are usually unwilling to cooperate with isolation through a game theory model. In economics, an important assumption is that everyone is rational, and rationality means that everyone pursues personal benefits over social benefits. In the end, the prisoner's dilemma is likely to occur in the epidemic. Let's look at a specific example. It's often reported in the news that people with travel history in epidemic areas deliberately conceal their travel history and still live normally without self-isolation. This phenomenon can be well explained by prisoner's dilemma. Let's take a look at the table below. In each pair of numbers, the number on the left represents the payoff of the society, and the number on the right represents the payoff of epidemic area tourists. Both parties get their own payoff after measuring their benefits and costs. Effective protection means that epidemic area tourists tell their true travel history and contact history. The society can judge whether treatment or self-isolation is necessary and track other close contacts in time for self-isolation. While enforced isolation refers to the mandatory isolation implemented by the government. The former method is more targeted and relies mainly on the conscious cooperation of the public, while the latter method is very effective, but will increase the cost of the society. People can choose to cooperate or conceal. Suppose someone chooses to cooperate, tell the truth and isolate themselves. The social benefit is the largest at this time. We assume that the payoff is 3, which also has certain benefits for individuals. For example, if there are symptoms, they can get medical treatment in time, but they need to bear the cost of isolation. Then the payoff is 1. If this person chooses to cooperate and be forced to be isolated later, the social cost will increase. Thus, the society's payoff will be reduced to 1. An individual will be further restricted by their actions. Their payoff will be reduced to -2. If this person chooses to hide the truth, then the society will have to pay more because the close contact cannot be tracked in time. The social payoff is -1. The individual can continue to live a normal life because of the concealment. The payoff is 3. If this person chooses to hide and be forced to be quarantined, the government cost increases, payoff is -3, and the individual's payoff is -1 due to the inconvenience. Finally, we can draw the Nash equilibrium in this case. We can see that most people choose to conceal because of greater personal benefit, but this result is obviously inefficient. So how can we reduce this situation and allow most people to cooperate actively? One way is to increase the benefits of cooperation. For example, cash rewards or priority treatment if the infection is diagnosed. The other is to increase the punishment for concealment, such as fines and imprisonment. In this way, an effective Nash equilibrium can be achieved by adjusting the personal payoff. Is there any other way for the government to solve this problem? Maybe behavioral economics can give us some new ideas.
Part 1 uses the model of game theory in order to show that during the epidemic, the individuals are likely to have irrational behaviors. And so, how to explain it in the behavioral economics? Let's look at part 2. Some time ago, Bruce Johnson said that the British government will adopt a different strategy and use the idea of herd immunity. So here, we just analyze from the perspective of the British government. In fact, the government originally wanted to alleviate the panic caused by the virus through the theory of framing bias. So how the framing bias used? In fact, there are two statements that are similar. The first one is, with no drugs and no vaccine, if more than 60% of people are infected and then they recover from the virus, the chance of the disease outbreak will be greatly reduced because people get the herd immunity. And the second one is, the outbreak of the COVID 2019 will finally kill 1.76 million people in the UK. So why is it the 1.76 million people? We can use this following model to explain it. Suppose that one infected people can cause the infection of 3 more people. So here, R0 is 3, and P% of people will immune after the recovery. So if we want to control the epidemic, we must satisfy this function, and then we find P is greater than 60%. And that means the epidemic will be controlled and people will get herd immunity. And this is the first statement. And so what happened if the P is greater than 60%? It is expected to die 1.76 million people in the UK. So this is the second statement. So if you are the British government, how will you choose? Obviously, the first statement, because the second one will cause more panic. So from the idea of the herd immunity, the government originally wanted to reduce panic and encourage the public to overcome the virus and ensure the stable economic development. So the government announced the risk as positive direction. However, last month, the number of the confirmed cases in Europe rose greatly, and the strategy of herd immunity was challenged. And the panic spread worldwide, which caused more individual irrational behaviors. Nowadays, shoppers in many countries snapped up a lot of food and toilet paper, and during the epidemic, even some supplies become more expensive. People reserve a lot of life necessities. Some are equivalent to their 1 year's consumption. So these behaviors are obviously irrational. On March 16, the US stock market collapsed again, and this is the third time within only 1 month. And the situation of the current stock market shows the panic of the investors. Hoping that the panic will bring about the joint efforts of the government and individuals rather than taking irrational short-term behaviors to meet their own needs. We should trust the government, hoping that all the patents will recover soon and we will overcome the COVID 2019 in the near future. And this is our group presentation. Thank you.